You cannot debate that.
I'll give you.
That's my problem with. I felt like you were running D for XQC a little bit when I watched you.
No,
I don't know exactly what you mean, but I'm going to disagree with you.
okay.
So you think that it's not straight up indefensible to sit in a box and stare at the camera while the video plays?
Well,
I think that it is.
It depends.
My personal opinion on it is that it is.
Oh, and then Hasan does the weasel thing. This is what he did to me in our debates, where instead of giving an actual principle, he could be like, well, personally. But I wonder if Ethan would ever finish like a debate like this, and then at the end he's like, when it's a topic that I know a lot about, Hasan is really f***ing clueless. I wonder if all those political takes he gave were just as uninformed as his take on fair use.
I think that limiting information makes it harder for new forms of derivative art.
Okay, but
What is he talking about?
so are you
creative.
against all IP law?
I don't know where the exact boundaries would be.
Apparently, right afterwards, he joined Destiny's stream. I guess Destiny was coaching him. Destiny is an incredible debater, to be honest. He's really good at it. So he went to the right guy, I guess. Didn't rub off, though, I don't think.
I'm trying to catch a win or whatever, but
Jesus.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you went way over the top really quickly. In terms of like,
I thought he went over the top like crazy. He kept not letting me talk, asking questions and then not letting me answer. He didn't want to bring up data. He brought out one video. He brought my video and watched the whole thing. But when it's time to play my video, he just kept pause, comment. I mean, this is not a fair representation. It's not how you conducted an argument.
Sure. I mean, I agree he was cutting you off a lot. That was true. And it was fair for you to bring that up, to ask to finish a point. That's true as well. But like, when it came to comparing the videos, what do you think his issue was with your video over his video of you?
The thing I always say about cutting people off in this is like when somebody's actively deflecting from the conversation, from the point, then I feel like it's a good time to interrupt. Because I know where it's going and it's not going to a good place. Because when it goes there, I'm just going to bring it right back. You know, it's like the deflector's playbook. I know it can be annoying sometimes, right, when I have these conversations and I interrupt people a lot, but it is very intentionally done because I want to keep them on the track, because nobody ever wants to answer questions. Nobody ever wants to get to the root of an issue. And so it comes off as, I guess, there's probably a better way to do it, to be frank. There is probably a way that's more friendly, looks less bad, less annoying to watch, but I guess I haven't learned what that is yet. I'm not super experienced as a debater.
I think you could build a bridge with Ethan. I think Ethan is surrounded by a lot of people that don't like me. I think Hasan and Dan, but who knows? I don't know.
XQC asked Destiny for help moments before Ethan Klein debate. That's awesome. Should I watch that?
No.
Let me ask you about the take you had. So when I was talking to XQC...
Well, I feel like Hasan has different facial hair and head hair like every 2 months. Is he rotating through a ton of styles right now? Or?
And he said, oh, well, no, you don't react hard enough either. And you said this is why Ethan's argument is not good, because it always devolves into you don't react hard enough.
Because at the end of the day, there are no clear-cut guidelines, no clear-cut boundaries on like what to do, no like standardized best practices. And the argument always will, in the eyes of the audience especially, devolve into... I don't
think so. I think I circumvented that pretty good. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm not... I always do that. Go ahead.
It will always devolve into you're not reacting hard enough. Obviously, there are boundaries that I think aren't established, but like most people understand are bad. However, especially if you're doing like long-form content, especially if you're doing live streamed content without pre-production like you do, because you have your own version of that as well as like the members only broadcast, there will always be
legions of writers, Steve Boyd,
and moments of like dead air or even you getting up, but that's also live reaction.
Here I'm talking, and I made it clear, I'm talking specifically about his YouTube channel. Now, I would never claim that about streaming, because I agree that streaming is too much of a gray area. In the context of talking about his YouTube channel, I have to disagree that it's not about react harder. There's clearly zones. There's like S-tier zones, which would be...
This is a form of kind of like a continuum fallacy, where like, what does it mean to react enough? It's probably hard to know exactly, but there's probably stuff that's clearly right, and there's probably stuff that's clearly wrong.
One of my old reaction videos, which is like highly produced with sketches, it's like obvious, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a massive gray zone,
Yeah.
which this podcast would probably even fall in, which would be like high up in the gray zone.
I don't think so.
Well, regardless, I'm just trying to show you what I mean.
Because it's pre-cut. The videos that we watch are pre-cut.
That doesn't matter.
What does that have to do with anything? What? Are pre-cut?
I think it does matter.
Well,
Even because...
it doesn't matter. Fair use doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying, like, the way I see it, your highly edited sketch videos, your sketch react videos are...
Well, he just said that's not what he's talking about. He said he's talking about this podcast, right?
Those are S tier.
Yeah, those are S tier. This podcast would be like a little bit below it, but it still is like we're cutting this live, but every single thing that we're looking at, we already know what we're going to be looking at.
By gray zone, I
video-wise.
mean like we can have a discussion about it.
Sure.
It's all debatable, and that's the nature of fair use. It's all up to a judge and jury to decide based on the merits of this one particular instance. And so that's what I mean. There's like a massive gray zone, and I would include like myself at the top of that gray zone, and then like maybe potentially even Sniper Wolf at the bottom of the gray zone. Below the gray zone, there's like unacceptable, dog shit, straight up content theft.
Yeah, just
That's
like
where XQC is.
direct re-uploads of someone else's YouTube video would be at the bottom. No, I don't disagree with you on that. You pulled up Vince's video or Vince's statement on it, but there's still not enough data on whether or not that is valuable or not, especially if like
Valuable?
certain
What do you mean?
Is it displacing in the algorithm? Is it
What does it
good
matter,
for a
though?
mid-sized channel?
It doesn't really matter.
Well,
Like, it'd
the
be
reason
nice, but it doesn't
Destiny,
really
to be
matter.
fair, I feel like
The reason why
23-year-olds are pretty stupid, especially when drunk or intoxicated. Not to say the writers weren't wrong there. I just think young adults show reckless disregard for people's shit and think they are immortal.
I mean, like, maybe, but so much so that you're just gonna start destroying shit like that? At 20? That's highly questionable judgment at that point, I think.
the reason why this is always not like a you can't f***ing do this, you piece of shit, stop it, and then everyone changes their attitude towards it immediately. The reason why this keeps resurfacing over and over again is because there's inconsistency, not enough data on whether or not it is appropriate.
Doesn't matter.
And well, it matters because for the most part, creators don't either out of fear that they don't want to get into trouble with the large content creator, or because they genuinely see value in it, they don't complain about it, or they don't do anything about it.
Well, as XQC clearly exemplified by now attacking Vince on Twitter. I don't know if you saw this.
I did see that. That was really I think.
Scummy.
I will say, originally XQC was saying paid actor. Some people were digging up some more information about this Vince guy. He might actually be just an Ethan snippet. It was a bad example, but X presented that argument horribly. I don't know enough about it, but people are saying this Vince guy has been shitting on X for a long time, but he's like a huge Mizkif fan and responds positively to every time Mizkif reacts and shit, and he's just like, it might literally just be an anti-fan of XQC. I don't know that 100%. That's some shit that I saw in the subreddit, but...
I mean, can you pull that up? I hate that.
By the way, if you're ever wondering why Ethan hates Sniper Wolf so much, it's because she's fighting with Jack's Films over reactions, which is Ethan's friend. Gotcha.
It was definitely up.
Because
he's not doing well, I don't think, at this moment.
He's re-uploading videos.
Yeah.
Period. Like straight up.
With very little feedback.
No. That's not even applicable. Like,
what are we talking about?
XQC.
Oh,
he
yeah.
uploads videos of him adding 0 runtime or like 2 seconds runtime, and all he says is, "That's crazy, chat."
I agree with you, but even though I agree with you, that conversation is still like, I don't like the way you're reacting, and that can be expanded.
No, it doesn't, because
but it can be expanded to someone like yourself even.
You're wrong.
Ooh.
Saying this is crazy, chat, is not. It's not additive. It's not critical. It literally doesn't transform. You're sitting there, re-uploaded a video. It's not there. You cannot debate that.
I'll give you.
That's my problem with. I felt like you were running D for XQC a little bit when I watched you.
No.
Yeah, because you're like,
if the IP holder is like, I don't give a shit I love that XC watched it and said, oh my God, chat. But there are, of course, going to be examples of people that say, no, actually, I don't like that. And I had no way of like even communicating.
That's crazy, chat.
That to XQC because I was terrified that his fans would eat my ass. The reality is that unless you are directly engaging in commentary on the video that you are currently watching, you can't even use it as a narrative tool in most circumstances. I know this from my days working at the Young Turks, and I know this from what I technically do in violation of like the actual fair use laws, even when I'm uploading my YouTube videos, right? When I upload...
Do you agree with H3H2 here? So Ethan is arguing from a principled stance, and Hasan is trying to argue from some consequential stance, where Hasan is saying, well, at the end of the day, if it's not like hurting people, whatever, it doesn't matter. But then Ethan is just like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just the idea of it is bad. Even if it's not hurting people, the idea of it is bad. Sniper Wolf edits the out of her video. She steals her jokes and TikTok comments and really credits the owners, but other reactions are far worse. At Destiny, but can you argue that it's hurting people monetarily? No, I don't think so. Who do I agree with? I mean, both people make fair points, but they're arguing two different issues, so.
Unless I am directly engaging in media criticism, if I'm using a news clip as a narrative piece, that's still something that I'm technically supposed to license out.
No. There is an exception for journalism and fair use as well. There's a clause for journalists and news stuff.
You still can't use someone else's footage to like, for example.
I don't know exactly what you mean, but I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay. Yeah. I can't. Let's say instead of me introing my video like
hello,
Rudy Giuliani,
base police
wanted to see some titties today, and we're gonna take a look at that, and then go directly into like I don't know, the news article that I'm reading through. Yeah. Instead of doing that, if I played an ABC News broadcast, if I put that clip in there and I don't actually immediately commentate on that clip or criticize that clip, that's technically a violation of fair use. But
so I get, again, it depends on the whole context of the clip. But okay, let's say it is. So what?
The reason why I'm saying that is because there is a lot more that could be utilized. There is a lot more IP that could be acted on in a legal sense.
Hold on,
that currently is not acted on.
The focus is changing.
Yes.
You're saying that IP law is too onerous, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the law necessarily. I'm talking about
the principle, the idea.
This notion that certain stuff that people do is just outright unacceptable and not up for debate, which I think that you seem to disagree with like React Harder, this whole React Harder meme.
The reason why I brought up the other side of it and how IP law, if enforced to its maximum degree, would be really messed up. Cloud amplifier. When I put this up, if this is showing in the background, like this could technically...
Technically, I'm pretty sure a cloud lifter is a preamplifier, not an amplifier, but I actually don't know what the difference is actually even between a preamp and an amp, but...
be legally enforceable. Cloud amplifier could come and say, we didn't give you rights to use this in your broadcast, and like that is
you can sue anyone for anything.
I agree.
Dude.
That is something that I'm
preamps go before amp. Good one, dude.
Terrified of.
It's a case by case basis. You can sue anyone for anything. You know what I mean?
Which is precisely why the conversation always goes back to: are you reacting hard? I don't like the way you're reacting, and then it's entirely in the hands of the IP holder. And therefore...
Okay, let me ask you this. We all agree. If you upload... we're going to talk about Vince's video. I re-upload it to my channel wholesale. Unacceptable. Yeah. So now I re-upload the channel of me just sitting there in the corner like this. It's the same video, re-upload it, except there's just a square of me sitting like this. Just blankly the whole time. Is that acceptable?
It's dependent on what Vince thinks is acceptable or not.
I wonder if Ethan views Hasan a little differently after these arguments. I wonder if he has like a different takeaway.
That means it's not, because you don't need permission to transform content.
Correct.
Yes, but...
So you think that it's not straight up indefensible to sit in a box and stare at the camera while the video plays?
Well,
I think that it is.
It depends.
My personal opinion on it is that it is.
Oh, and then Hasan does the weasel thing. This is what he did to me in our debates, where instead of giving an actual principle, he could be like, well, personally,
Absolutely, one, not good content, and two, indefensible to do that. However, given that it's entirely up to the IP holder themselves to either make a claim, DMCA the channel.
You can say about anything. I mean,
but the reason
that takes the react harder thing. I want to talk about that.
So the reason why I'm stating that, the reason why I'm mentioning this, is the reason why a lot of people are still going to be confused at the end of this conversation, because no matter what happens, we are not going to end up with clear-cut boundaries, like well-defined boundaries that are even enforceable, not legally, but like enforceable from a terms of service or enforceable through the YouTube structure.
There will never be terms of service because it's not a policy thing.
Yeah.
But I disagree, because I feel like it's pretty obvious when it's clear-cut wrong. Like if you were to sit in a box and stare, which is essentially what XQC does. He adds stuff like, what?
that's crazy, chat.
What? So that's not different than sitting in a box and staring.
What?
I don't disagree with you on that. I do think that from a content standpoint, I think that it is unacceptable to do that. So you mentioned Sniper Wolf. You said that it's in the bottom of the gray area, which means that there is at least some level of debatability. That means that there's some level of acceptability.
A lot.
She talks through it, right?
Yeah.
More importantly than that, I think it's like pre-clips. Like it's pre.
Why does he think that
the pre-selected clips that she's reacting
difference, to? It's like a bad faith versus good faith, and I think that Sniper Wolf is. I'd have to look at it. Frankly, I'd have to look at it really close. But
I wonder if Ethan would finish a debate like this. I don't think this would happen, or it would be kind of sad about it. But I wonder if Ethan would ever finish a debate like this, and then at the end he's like, "Man, when it's a topic that I know a lot about, Hasan is really f***ing clueless. I wonder if all those political takes he gave were just as uninformed as his take on fair use." Now I don't know if that would actually happen, but I wonder if that crops up in the back of Ethan's mind, where he's like, I don't know now. I'm not sure.
People would disagree with you on that. Like people Jack.
Hello.
Well, what's up?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Things are going well. I've actually been really interested in this topic more so than many others, because I feel like this is a topic where, honestly, I could be very, very wrong, and I want to have a discussion with you about it a little bit.
Okay.
If now is a good time.
Yeah, about what, the fair use stuff, or?
Yeah. So you keep, it seems like you have a pretty strong position on it and stuff like that. You seem pretty dead set on the idea that Hasan is not bringing good takes against Ethan here and shit like that. And Ethan should be questioning Hasan's positions on a lot of this shit. Mm-hmm. Can I get a kind of brief top to bottom on what your position of this whole fair use react content kind of thing is?
The primary position, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think this is affecting anybody that much negatively or positively. Well, it's affecting the streamers and the streamer community super positively. I don't think it's affecting YouTubers negatively at all. Maybe it even might be slightly positive. Yeah, I think it's kind of a wash for them at the end, or it helps them a little bit. That being said, I feel like the arguments that people are making are kind of bounced between a lot of different areas. I think that the primary argument for YouTubers, I think the strongest argument is, I've invested time into creating intellectual property. If you want to profit off of my intellectual property, then you should probably license this. Pay me, or we need to reach some kind of agreement so you're not just straight ripping my shit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what I would say, broadly speaking.
So from the most convincing argument from my point of view for it being shitty to do to YouTubers is about the impressions. So what about the argument for impressions, the idea that there's shit that gets recommended that could be original content, but instead it's react content?
I mean, YouTube recommends you what you're most likely to watch. I don't know if I believe that if those recommendations weren't filled with react content, that they would be filled with something different. I just don't know if I believe that.
So yeah, let's assume an idea, because the idea that I'm running with is a radical idea, okay. Which is if somehow we can deem certain less than fair use, like very baseline reactions where they're not really doing anything. If we could figure out those kinds of reactions, I wouldn't want those in the recommended at all.
Okay.
I would want those only to be pushed to you if you're already subscribed to the person, or if you go to somebody's channel and you look under their videos. And if that was the case, then it would have to be filled by something else, right? The algo would pick the next best thing.
Possibly, yeah.
Right?
There might be something different there, yeah.
Yeah, so that's at least, because the thing that disrupts me the most is I have this idea in my mind that I just hate certain reactions being put up instead of not even necessarily the original content, but original content in general.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that idea, but I mean, there's always going to be garbage content on YouTube. Like, if it's not reactions, there might be some other type of garbage content. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I could see. Yeah, I mean, there could be other stuff, but like, there's all sorts of stuff that you could argue that shouldn't be on YouTube that like is hogging the.
Absolutely.
The thighs thing. So I feel like the impressions thing isn't the best argument. You can argue against the type of content itself, but I feel like just arguing against the impressions is not the most compelling argument. That's my feeling. But
wait, what's the most compelling argument in your mind? Like
the principled argument against like somebody copying your IP without your permission.
Oh, sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course, because if that's not argued, then the fuck do the impressions matter, right?
Yeah.
So then I guess from here, what's your issue with, what is even Hasan's argument? I don't even know what his argument is. It seems like what he's kind of just doing is kind of playing at least limited shit here. I haven't watched Ethan's podcast.
The problem is Ethan is
ever.
trying to make a principled argument, and Hasan keeps running back to this consequentialist argument about like, well, is it actually negatively impacting them? And Hasan won't engage on the actual point because he's probably wrong and he knows it.
Okay, so what is
like not engaging in the argument, which is funny to listen to, yeah.
Wait, then what is your principled position?
Well, Ethan is arguing the principled position. I'm not saying one of them is right or wrong. Technically, they're both making correct points. Hasan is probably right, and that it doesn't really negatively impact you that much in terms of viewership. But Ethan's making probably the correct point that like you can have a principled position on fair use that's irrespective of if it's negatively or positively impacting you. But it's just funny that Hasan won't engage with that point at all for whatever reason. That's the only thing I'm pointing out right now. Not necessarily if I agree. Like, they're both technically making points. I think I agree with both of them, kind of. But it's just funny that Hasan's not engaging on Ethan's point at all.
Okay. All right. I think I'm starting to understand that a little bit more. But when you're talking about a principled position that isn't the consequences of it, irrespective of the consequences, isn't it? Aren't we assuming a system that isn't consequentialism there, or isn't that what it's called?
Sure, but I'm not thinking in terms of like what normative ethical framework. I'm just in like common, like layman's terms, like what's going on here. That's how both of them are evaluated.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, so your position is what? So let's say I upload a piece of content that's like obviously lazily reacted to. It's the what? Huh? Crazy. Is that? Am I good? What is that?
Well, I mean Ethan's argument here, and like a principled stance against IP violation would probably say that like a React content like that wouldn't be good because you're essentially just jacking somebody else's intellectual property to make money off of, right?
Yeah, I'm asking you though. What's your position?
I don't care about any of this. I don't think any of it is
really.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of silly. Okay. Like, I wouldn't care if anybody did any of this to me. The only thing that I said I could see people getting legitimately upset about is if somebody is reacting to and re-uploading a video like right ahead of you or like right after you. Like, if I do a full react to an hour thing and I'm uploading this within an hour or two, like same title, same thumbnail, and I'm legitimately gunning for views on YouTube to take away from the main video, I could see people getting upset about that. But like if the video has been up for like a week or two, I don't give a at all. I don't think it's any problem at all. I don't care. And I don't know why anybody doesn't care. But that's just, you know.
So you probably have more insight into this than I think most people I could realistically talk to because of your presence on YouTube. Does the same thumbnail, same title thing matter that much to like kicking you out of the algo?
Probably not that much, but it could confuse viewers that are clicking on things. But it's really hard to have like data on this. It's hard to measure the counterfactual of if it would or wouldn't have affected you as much, right? Personally, yeah, of course. Honest to God, it's probably more. Honest to God, it's probably more. Probably doesn't affect it that much, actually. If I'm gonna be totally honest, this is like my overall impression of things. Other people may agree, other people might disagree. August might chime in if he's here. it's very, very, very hard to game the system these days on YouTube. Like, if you want to do well in the algorithm, what you need to do is create content that people want to watch. It's really not even about subscriptions anymore. Even your subscriptions on YouTube don't matter that much, because even most people in chat might not realize this, but I'm willing to bet most of you guys in chat, when you go to watch YouTube, you're not actually going through your subscriptions. You guys are getting fed everything through this recommended box, and that's the videos that you guys are clicking. Sometimes channels will be here that you subscribe to, sometimes they're not, but like if you want to have content that's doing well on YouTube, you just have to make compelling stuff that people click through and watch. That's like the king today, and it's really hard to like fool that system. Like 10 years ago, people would be saying like having the right title is essential, having like above the cutoff descriptions are essential because keywords and blah blah blah. But these days, bro, the algorithm is so sophisticated. It's going through your entire video and it's linking you like these incredibly sophisticated ways to other content that's similar. It looks like watch time, click through time to other videos, etc., etc. It's really hard to game it at this point.
Okay, yeah. So but wouldn't it be, so all of those things that you just said, watch time, click through time, stuff like that, like certain keywords, all that shit is like boosted in the algo. Wouldn't that mean that the closer to the original content that my upload is, the more likely it is to fight that original content in the algo?
Possibly, but it could also be the fact that like people that are watching it are already watching that type of person's videos. So like this is counterintuitive, okay? I'm not going to say this is 100%, but I'm saying this could happen, right? Let's say, for instance, that let's say that I shamelessly steal, okay, from a 50,000 sub YouTuber. Okay, let's say that I find this guy, he uploads a video, okay, and in 20 minutes I react to the whole thing, and from that whole reaction I get ahead of it. In the past, let's say that I get ahead of it, I throw my thing on YouTube, and let's say I actually do cannibalize the out of his video. Let's say that video would have gotten 100,000 views and now it gets like 10,000 and I get like 500,000 views. Let's say that video does really well for me, right? It might be the case that because people that go to my channel or watch my videos have responded so well to that video that maybe other videos from that guy's YouTube channel start getting mass recommended in my feed. So this would be a case of where I shamelessly cannibalize somebody else's. Not only am I stealing the IP and getting the views and probably cannibalizing the views on that video, that might overall still be really positive for that person because maybe their videos start getting recommended to people that watch my shit, right? Now, I'm not saying 100% that would happen. I'm just saying that, like, for instance, in the past, I could go on Destiny's channel and I could click a Destiny response to Jordan Peterson video, and now what's filling up my recommended bar? It's all Jordan Peterson videos, right? So,
so this was an argument that I had originally in the old, like back when the stuff started a while ago, which is that there are those kinds of things. I expressed it primarily as like a word of mouth kind of a thing, right? Like, for instance, I use like Linus Tech Tips as an example. Like I might let's say I cannibalized the fuck out of Linus, or a bunch of people watched Linus's stuff. There is a world in which he may even receive, like you said, a downturn in views or whatever. But the next time any of my viewers are thinking, hey, you know what? I want a new graphics card. I can't. Who would I look up to do it? You're thinking Linus, because that's the tech guy. They can earn a reputation, even though they're like not getting like views and stuff like that. You can earn a reputation by like a kind of word of mouth through like other things. And I think in business it's called the intangibles. Is like these things, they don't show up on any charts or any graphs or anything like that, but they're things like that you can use and can benefit your business. I think that's what it is. And yeah, I agree that exists.
Yeah. And it's hard to, I hate to make like the exposure argument, but like there's a ton of channels that people only watch because they heard about them on my stream or XQC stream, right? That Cuck Philosophy guy, I saw somebody put in YouTube chat, like there's a lot of channels like that, right? Yeah. And I hate to make the for exposure argument, but that is probably true, because streamers will watch things that are really outside of their wheelhouse in terms of like, oh wow, I've never seen this particular video before.
There's some people Now, again, I don't want to make that argument myself either, but I know I did that with JCS, several true crime channels. I did that with some ordinary gamers channel.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where I was like all of those weird, creepy kind of like internet story channels. I didn't watch any of them, and then I saw them from streamers, and I'm like, oh yeah, shit. And now me and my brother watch them independently. Like, it's really good stuff.
So yeah, at the end of the day, it's all the consequentialist arguments, like what's happening to the actual channels is a difficult argument to make, because everything I've seen, I would probably guess it's probably actually beneficial. Even if it's straight IP theft, it's probably beneficial to those people. But people like Ethan and other YouTubers will make a principled argument. Well, they'll be like, I don't care if it's making me popular. I don't want you stealing my shit and making money off it. You know.
Of course. That was like the I'm assuming you saw the Ethan and XQC conversation, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay. There is
argument be different
one
from pay-to-view
wait.
content. As in, if YouTube had a pay-to-view content system like Twitter, and those videos were being reacted and uploaded by reactors.
Yeah, I think there's probably a different argument being made if people are stealing pay-per-view content. That might be different, sure. Okay, sorry, go on.
Okay. I actually want to get to that as well, though. But and for the reasons of that, because I talked about that previously. In the conversation, Ethan brought up. Do you remember the graph that he brought up and that decline in viewers?
Dog shit.
Yeah. I couldn't. I don't. Even XQC, he was talking about it, but he didn't explain it well enough.
Yeah, I went over it with him afterwards. That like it could have been trending down, and even though it went down, it could have went down even more. But yeah. But do you have my stream open right now?
So he communicated.
Hold on, wait. I understand. Do you have my stream open right now? Okay, so the argument that you're trying to make is that there was an established trend, right? That if you look at the viewership, it looks like the trend was in this direction, okay? Theoretically, right?
Yes.
And the argument that you're trying to make is, even though the viewership might have decreased, we shouldn't be comparing the viewership to the next day. What we should be comparing the difference between the new viewership and where the trend actually was, right? So your actual comparison is here. So arguably, right, if you integrated these 2 points from August 1st to August 2nd, and then you took the difference of the two, there could theoretically be a gain in viewership, even though there's a loss on paper in viewership, because the new trend is outperforming the prior trend, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Did you see the DMs he sent Ethan afterwards?
Yeah. Shit. Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't understand why. I would have to talk about it. I don't know why XQC flexes money so hard. It's super cringe. I don't know why he's doing this. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to find happiness and he's looking in all the wrong places or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it seems like he's. I was talking to some people. Low-key, it seems like he's like going towards like a rapper mentality of like, yeah, bro, I got money. I got, let me flex that shit. Like, I got fast cars and all that shit. He's like on that new money shit. It was very surprising to me, considering for how long he was like low key, kind of like Asman, where Asman is a multimillionaire, but he lives out of a cardboard box, which is a big W Asman. But yeah, I don't know.
What's up, Lycan? What do you want?
I thought some of the points that he's Felix, so he couldn't make the fucking points. But when Ethan brought up the stats about that one guy's video they did the trial with, I don't think that's enough data. Like, I think after the first day, those drop off regardless of. Yeah,
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that he sucked ass at trying to make that argument.
Oh no, he did, but it was a good argument, and it just sucks that he wasn't one to make it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I felt like some of the things that XQC was trying to get at could be like fine, but it felt like he just was deflecting for 50% of the conversation. But yeah, it seems like we more or less agree on some of that. I was just curious about some of your positions on that, but I want to talk about pay-per-view. I want to talk about that shit too.
Yeah, what about it?
Why is pay-per-view not acceptable, or like a movie?
Well, because I think when you're talking about like IP theft, it's very intangible what the losses are. But when you're talking about pay-per-view theft, it becomes a bit more tangible. Still kind of intangible, but a bit more, right? Now every view lost is literal. Like you should have been paying money to watch that. I can see people getting a lot more upset about pay-per-view stuff than just like normal like stuff on YouTube. That's what I would say.
Well, I'm saying like the ethics of it. Do you think it's wrong
to
yoink pay-per-view?
Like to stream it or to just watch it for free?
Let's go with stream it.
To restream a pay-per-view thing would almost certainly be fucked up. Yeah, if a streamer were restreaming a pay-per-view thing, probably, yeah.
And that's because you would want every single person who's watching the stream to have to pay for the pay-per-view.
Probably to some extent, yeah.
Okay.
Or
and
yeah,
the reason
you're paywalling it, it seems like a lot different. It seems to be quite a bit different, yeah.
Okay, and because you're paywalling it, the reason why it's wrong there is because the losses are tangible. You can see them.
4K hours,
maybe I think so. Yeah, and
X just needs a quick intro, like other YouTuber first streamers.
Yeah, it feels like if you're actually paywalling something and people are still stealing it. Yeah, it feels different. I don't know why I never think about it more. Like it's like the difference between like pirating a game versus like ad blocking a video or something. It feels like when you're pirating stuff like that, it feels a bit different, yeah.
So for me, at least the full stop argument that I make for pay-per-view being unethical to react to is it is obvious that when something is pay-per-view, you are stating what you're talking about, which is every individual person who is watching this has to pay to be able to watch it. And so I don't think you can, it's like putting at the start of a video, do not react to my content. That is pretty much what pay-per-view implies. So like even beyond like losses and things like that, I don't think you can react to a piece of pay-per-view content because it has a big sign, do not react, do not restream, which is the price.
Sure, I guess you can make that argument, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's
BTW Invisalign is the best thing.
I think that's something that probably should be
30 years, the retainers
done more, I guess. If people are really worried about the cannibalization of their content, is like just putting disclaimers like, hey, don't react to my content or whatever, or just putting little
I think if
things
somebody
there.
had like a disclaimer at the start of a video saying don't do it, and then somebody did it, I think you'd have a really strong argument that this is like a pretty unethical behavior, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be good practice to do that if you don't want people reacting to your content.
Yeah, if you were like that triggered by it, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like a piece of shit if you're doing that. Unless it's like a political piece of content, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't react to my content when you're getting blowback for.
When we say react, I think we're generally thinking of like low transformative or non-transformative, right? But for political content reaction, I mean, I'm guessing most of the time that's probably going to be pretty highly transformative.
Yeah.
Like people keep bringing up my "What is a woman" doc like it's some own, but like that was something that me and Far were watching and commenting on and like giving feedback on the entire time. Like that was probably transformative. That'd be my guess for that. Or somebody's watching like a Destiny video or Bench Spear video or Watch video. Generally, those are generally going to be like transformative reacts. That'd be my guess. So even if somebody says don't react to it, they wouldn't have a right to say that because it's a transformative react, right?
Yeah, it's like an analysis and breakdown, yeah. In comparison to some other pieces of content, for sure. Yeah. All right, I just wanted to gauge where you're sitting. I'm a little bit surprised with the take of like a kind of laissez-faire, like don't really give a fuck.
It's just not a real problem. Why would I care?
I guess
there's just like no real losses from it. Like nobody actually cares about this. That's why it's like it's never even the creators talking about it themselves. It's always like random YouTubers on Twitter that want to get on Twitter and start fighting with people. But like, does anybody really care about this? I don't think so.
Seemed like that Vincent person cared a fair deal.
Yeah, but that dude's like an XQC hater. Like, and he's like,
is he really?
Yeah, and he's like a miskiff like that guy's hated XQC for a while. So I mean, like, I don't know if but.
I was gonna say, dude, what did you think of XQC instantly saying paid actor?
XQC like I said, XQC had decent arguments to make, but yeah, he was absolutely dog shit at making those arguments. Like,
that shit lost me, bro. Fucking paid actor, bro.
Yeah, that was
oh
stupid.
my god, yeah. That was very funny. So yeah, I agree that some of that shit, but I think some people care a fair deal, but I don't know. I feel like I see I feel like I see more success stories than I do. Like, I don't think I've ever seen somebody like lose.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. It's hard to
probably
track.
not, but
when
yeah,
people
that's the
lose
issue.
their
It's
career.
really hard to track. It could be that there are some creators that are really negatively affected by React content, but it's just really hard to see. It's hard to like actually measure that. So anybody that's claiming they know for a fact one way or another is almost certainly full of shit. It's such an incredibly hard to track thing.
I feel like there's some cases where we can say pretty confidently that it's helped people's careers, though, right?
Maybe.
Like that. I'll give an example. That MewKitty person.
Well, yeah, for sure. But they're literally making
Yeah.
content like about the streamer, so of course they're going to benefit,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but like without like other people reacting positively on different platforms and things like that, they probably wouldn't have gotten such a significant boost.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah. But again, other people are going to argue principally, I don't care if I get a good boost or not. I don't want people stealing my IP.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's Ethan, right?
That seems to be the argument that he's making. Yes, I believe. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping your video for like 20 minutes to explain to me your position, brother.
No problem. I love you, buddy.
X Films would
Right.
say it's completely unacceptable.
But
It's ridiculous.
it's in the gray zone. That's my point, Hasan.
Yeah. What I'm simply stating is, depending on the
Yeah.
IP holder and depending on how the crowd is receiving it, clearly people want to even watch XQC be in the fucking corner and go
Doesn't
like
matter
this.
if they,
Oh no, Hasan's making Hasan's making about as good an argument as XQC is. Jesus, how is Ethan has been like the smartest guy in the room? Destiny, wish I could watch live more often. I watch your odds. Well, thanks. Maybe. Hold on, who are you? Let me make sure you're not some cringe socialist guy.
You realize the failure.
Judge orders cop to Constitution class after retaliation. Oh. Wait, this isn't the channel where we saw the crazy lady 2 days ago, is it? Police the police guy. Gotcha. He's super anti-cop? Oh, well, we're back the blue here, okay? You know whose content we should steal today? Bro, have you ever heard of this channel? I watched 2 skits from them earlier.
Come on, man.
Holy shit.
Come on.
How many videos do they have on their channel? Oh, I might go down a rabbit hole tonight. But I'm worried their other videos might not be as good as the 2 that I've seen.
they want to watch it, bro. Doesn't transform it.
I know, but they find it transformative enough. If it's a substitute.
He just says the dumbest shit. Well, they find it transformative, bro. He thought it was self-defense. Like, bro.
If it's a substitute for the original video itself, when XG's face is associated with it, then there's enough people. Like, his argument, I think, is I'm going to try to do my best to argue from his perspective, even though I don't agree with re-uploading his videos, like in the way that he re-uploads them, for sure. Or re-uploading a video that's a straight VOD rip where the only feedback you have is, come on, chat, that's crazy, like the clip that you put together. I think that's silly. However, I think his argument is, I don't care if these videos are out there, if they monetize it, if someone else, if a smaller content creator has an MCN and they can monetize it, then they should monetize my video. That's great. That's number one. Number two, if they don't want it and they want to DMCA it, I'm perfectly happy to DMCA it as well, because I'm not using YouTube as a way to make additional money, generate additional revenue. I'm using it as a way for people to watch these VODs that they normally would not be able to take
Keep
part
it on
in.
Twitch. Don't upload it to YouTube. It doesn't matter that they have remedies. It's not their responsibility to chase him down to fucking remedy his theft. I don't know.
I don't
To me, it's like I think that even by having this conversation, it's running defense for XQC a little bit. It is, because it
Oh man.
it creates a sense of like there's some conversation to be had about it, and I just don't think there is. I really don't. Not in his case.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, you go all the
Yeah.
way back to
God, he's such a coward. I hate how cowardly Hasan is. Yeah. He's like so careful not to step on any toes. He's so scared.
it's just wrong. Period. Black. Done.
Okay, so
Well,
it's not fair use, and the reason why it's not fair use. I don't think that it would be it would be deliberated on in a way that is like good for XQC if that actually came down to it. If by some insanity that XQC's YouTube channel was DMCA'd for one of those VODs.
Insanity.
And then he countered it and it actually went to a court of law. He's getting fucking eviscerated, right?
Right.
Which is why he understands that, which is why he doesn't want to, he doesn't care. However, that is precisely what I'm trying to say, is that fair use is far more expansive. Like, you have been able to create, you've actually done something crazy and have been able to create some precedent. But beyond that precedent, fair use in the way that we still analyze it, in the way that we still utilize it, even in ways that the content watchers don't understand but take for granted, is still outside of the boundaries of fair use.
It's not even a discussion about legality, okay? Because again, who's to decide?
Well, the reason why I mention it from a legality point of view is because you're asking, like, why are people not getting more mad at this, or why are people not stopping this? If that's your question, then... No,
XQC should be ostracized. This should not be a norm that people are like, yeah, this is cool. He's just re-uploading people's content whole fucking sale. This should not be like something that people can do without catching the whole, catching shit from the whole internet. It's not even about fair use law.
Yeah,
it's about right and wrong. Okay.
Ultimately, I think if I'm going to be as like, in order to wrap this up, I think what you're trying to say is that there should be some well-established boundaries that are not legally enforceable, obviously, because technically everything that you mentioned in the gray area is quite literally a violation potentially of fair use, right? So we're not talking about like legally enforceable fair use. We're talking simply about what level of commentary, what is the bottom level of commentary of acceptability, and how can we
and what's below that?
Some kind of, how can we create some kind of social enforcement of it by ostracizing people for violating it clearly and regularly, right? That's what you're trying to say. Because if that's your point of view,
there's a black zone. There's a black zone.
If that's your point of view, if that's your point of view, I agree with you, especially when it is in a way to protect smaller content creators that want to generate
big
revenue.
Content creators, it doesn't fucking matter. You don't get to steal anybody's shit.
No, I know. I'm saying,
it's like,
I agree with you, especially as in like, I agree with you across the board, and especially on.
He's saying so much without like saying anything at all. He's just trying so hard not to like start fights with anybody. It's so cringe. I don't even know what I should be prioritizing for like upgrades right now. Oh damn, that sounds sick.
Defending smaller content creators. So I agree with you on that front. If you're talking about social ostracization.
So what is your point regarding the black zone? Because that's the part I'm curious about.
Regarding the black zone, social ostracization would still...
Are you going to dye your hair again?
Maybe.
Ultimately rely on...
Let's not even talk about consequence, just right or wrong.
Do I think it's wrong to re-upload someone else's VOD?
I like how he repeats the question while he tries to think of an answer.
What is my blood waffling about?
Okay, what's he gonna say? Is it wrong? Because this is what Ethan's been talking about the whole time. What's he gonna say?
They rely on...
Let's not even talk about consequence, just right or wrong.
Do I think it's wrong to re-upload someone else's VOD or your own VOD rip that you didn't actually put a tremendous amount of effort into? Yeah, I said that already. We agree on that.
Okay.
Onto YouTube especially, is it? Because then it does operate in some degree as a market substitute.
Okay, so then in regard to the black zone, the React Harder meme isn't really applicable.
The criticism is still you're not reacting hard enough.
Right, but sometimes that's valid criticism.
Yeah, it is.
Like when you're just sitting there.
It is, of course.
So what's wrong with saying you're not reacting hard enough? So what's wrong with saying that in the black zone?
Well, it's because it's not enforceable in any meaningful capacity.
We're not talking about enforcement.
And
we're talking
also that boundary that you're setting is a boundary that you're setting, is a boundary that your audience is setting. It's ultimately not a boundary that is always going to be the same for every single person. Just like you mentioned, XQC is well liked. So for a very long time, it was not something that they yelled at him for. I'm not
you said
very
in
well
your
liked.
video, you have a dog in this fight, so I don't know if you're ever going to be willing to meet me there.
Well, I have 2 dogs.
Oh, that was a subtle, bad faith accusation. I don't know if Ethan is aware of that or not. Oof.
In the fight. We're talking about like in practice application. In theory, I also personally believe that information is not a scarce good. Like there is no scarcity in information. You put it out there.
What does that have to do with re-uploading someone's video?
Everything. It's just that is the basis of IP. IP on content is technically a concept that is no different than enclosures.
So to be clear, the scarcity for IP isn't necessarily on, in this case, it's not on that like, you can't make copies. The scarcity is on a viewer's time. They only have so much time to watch so many things, in which there is scarcity.
But this time in the digital sphere, enclosures on art. If we're talking about in theory, if I'm talking about idealistically, that's my second dog in the fight. I think that limiting information makes it harder for new forms of derivative art.
Okay, but
What is he talking about?
so are you
created.
against all IP law?
I don't know where the exact boundaries would be, as we talked about last week.
Yeah, let's not rehash that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
There's actually a YouTuber who's a libertarian that unironically has a very interesting argument about copyright tax.
Yeah.
Like he believes that America could implement some sort of copyright tax across the board, and then there would be no copyright in general. You could still, you could still go after people in litigation for re-uploading your content in its entirety. So there's still a space of protection there. But overall, there would be a massive, almost $1 trillion fund that you spend on media, that the government would spend, therefore limiting at least one element of profit seeking from the field of content creation and copyright. And this would actually open up the other side of the conversation that I've advocated for, which is access to copyrighted material without having enough money. That's why I talked about like growing up in Turkey and why I believe in piracy. If you don't have the money or access to be able to receive this copyrighted,
I just, I just want to make it clear because I'm not talking about any of that, and I don't want it to be confused. I'm just talking. But anyway, Hila has some notes. She says, and I think this is a good point. We shouldn't even call what XQC does react. It's a watch party, and when you frame it like that, it's a watch party. Then you really understand that it's
That's
not.
actually a really good point. It is a watch party.
It's not.
You're not wrong about that at all.
So there you go. You're just sharing.
Yeah.
This video. You're not.
Yeah.
Transforming it.
Yeah. I think XQC would agree with that. Technically, it is a watch party. There is a watch party. There is a watch party mechanism on Twitch as well. As a matter of fact, the only issue is given international IP restrictions, the watch party mechanism only works for Amazon Studios properties.
He like can't engage at all. He has like no brain for any of these topics. It's just like, how does this relate to like kind of socialism or capitalism bad or something? And like that's it. Like that's the extent to his ability to engage with any of these topics on like a critical level. It's actually so insanely sad to watch.
And it basically destroys your VOD, and it shuts off people that aren't in Canada or aren't in the United States of America from actually watching your stream. It like geo-locks your stream, which is really shitty.
That's the black zone. We're not. Watch parties should not be re-uploaded. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
No react harder. Just not even. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So that's that.
The watch party.
But I do think
the watch party distinction is actually very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I do think that's like XQC watching a whole ass movie and then whatever. The point is that I do think that the way you framed the react harder argument isn't a totally fair or accurate, and does end up running defense for people like XQC who are re-uploading watch parties to YouTube. Thank you.
Okay, Ethan.
Sure, I'll agree.
I rest my case. All right.
That's just me, no.
No.
He's molding. See you next time, bucko.